Okay, so we've kind of discussed now how you can do overloaded eccentrics for the squat or the bench press using pins at the bottom position. But what we haven't done is address how we can do that for the deadlift. It can be a little bit more tricky, but there are still ways of doing it, especially if you have your training partners like we went over before. So what we're going to demonstrate now is how you can do an overloaded eccentric if you have two training partners with you. And basically what we're going to do is very similar to what we did on the squat and the bench, where Naomi's going to perform the concentric part of the lift, where she lifts the bar to the top, and then you're going to have a spotter each side that very carefully places a plate on either side of the bar so that you then got a heavier load during the lowering phase. Now, the only kind of warning here is that the spotters that you choose need to be quite switched on. They need to make sure that they put the plates on at the same time so that you don't end up lopsided or having one side weighted for a few more seconds than the other. Outside of that, then once the extra plate is on, we're looking for a very controlled descent once again, keeping the alignment the same as it is on the concentric phase. So we don't want to see them rounding over. We want to see them putting the bar down in the exact same pattern, but in reverse that they performed on the concentric. So what that's going to look like is this. Naomi's going to set up for her regular deadlift. Sheena, if you can get the other plate, please. Naomi's going to lift it to the top, and then she's going to hold it for a second or two. Sheena and I are going to slowly put the weight on, slide it all the way. Yep. And then Naomi's going to perform a controlled eccentric over about 4 or 5 seconds down to the floor. Perfect. Thank you. So then once again, if you're doing it using this method, you would do it as a cluster set because you need the time to reset the weight anyway. So you would then have your spotters take the plate off either side, probably take about 30 to 40 seconds rest depending on how heavy the load is on the way down, and then you'd perform another rep. You'd do anywhere between 3 and 5 reps with that. And again, on the way down, we're looking for anywhere between 100 and 120% on the eccentric, depending on how much experience they have with these methods and how strong they are in terms of their motor control on the way down on the deadlift. Now, if you don't have training partners to do this for you, there are 2 ways that you can do it on your own. You can do it by using the end of safety pins out of a squat rack or using blocks, where you lift the bar just for like a ½ inch or an inch at the top, very carefully walk back so that you clear the pins and then lower it very slowly down to the floor. Or if you're lucky enough to have monolift attachments that can attach to a rack that goes low enough to the floor, you can actually lift the bar off the monolift attachment. The hooks will then swing away, and then you can lower it very slowly to the floor. But again, when we're using that method without partners, we do say 3 or 4 sets of 1 with about 2 or 3 minutes in between, as opposed to cluster sets that we've just shown there. Until next time, guys.